Five Nights at Freddy's is a series that I adore absolutely everything about. The characters, the story, its extracurricular activities like movies and books. I love everything about this franchise. Except for playing the games. I've tried my hand many a time at the countless games under this franchise's belt, but the only one that truly struck a chord with me was Security Breach. I fell in love with this game and played it through multiple times over, but the more time that I spent taking in this game and the discourse surrounding it, the more I began to realise something went horribly wrong with this game. Hey, what's up? It's your boy Rock. Today, we're going to explore Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach and determine once and for all if it's as horrifically broken as we all know it is. Let's begin our discussion with a rapid-fire history lesson. The idea for the original Five Nights at Freddy's game was born from the harsh criticism that Scott Cawthon, better known to the internet as FNaF Daddy or This Fucking Sprite, received on his game Chipper & Sons Lumber Co. Critics took issue with the character designs in that game, calling them creepy and animatronic-like, and instead of trying to address these criticisms and improve his character designs, Scott instead said, "Bitch, you think that's creepy?" 6 months later and ta-da! Five Nights at Freddy's was birthed under the world in 2014. It was a relatively simplistic point-and-click horror game that saw you playing as the security guard of an old pizzeria that's home to a group of animatronic entertainers that have developed a taste for frontal lobes. The game takes place entirely in the security office, and the gameplay consists of checking cameras for the roaming robots and closing doors as and when necessary. It's an incredibly simplistic gameplay loop, but offers a lot of depth through the different personalities of the animatronics. Each one has a unique approach to them. However, what really drew people into this game was its story. At a surface level, the game seems almost devoid of story, but when you look a little deeper, the game tells a dark tale through very cryptic means. Vague phone calls, newspaper clippings that change mysteriously and seemingly at random, the strained groans of the animatronics, and their increasing hostility as the nights progress. It lays out all of the clues for a pretty engaging narrative, and leaves it to the player to piece them together. Combine that with a swarm of screaming at the game's jump scares to an audience of millions, and you've got yourself a runaway indie success. To say that people fell in love with Five Nights at Freddy's, well,
Can't wait to meet you. So join the animatronic family. We open real soon. Try your best to hold on to sanity.
it would be a bit of an understatement. The game took the internet by storm, and Mr. Blue Sprite did not waste the opportunity he had been given to make massive amounts of cash. He made another game, and another, and another, and another, and another, and another. And fast forward around 9 years, and we're all sat in cinemas laughing at this adorable dog and creaming ourselves when the internet funny man says the catchphrase.
Well, it's just a theory.
Wah! Games were all developed by a lone FNaF daddy, but in early 2019, he partnered with Nicus Studios to make a game with an actual budget. Five Nights at Freddy's VR Help Wanted released for PC and PSVR, and was fairly well received, and with an entire studio backing his visions, Scott was able to widen the scope of the series massively, and he planned to do just that. August 2019 rolls around and the world is greeted to this teaser image. An animatronic band in a neon-tastic 80s themed setting. And over the next year, more and more teasers would be released, until A State of Play dropped the first official trailer for the next FNaF game on us in September of 2020. Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach was officially coming. And that led us to where we are today. Security Breach was my first ever voluntary PS4 purchase, and upon playing it, I fell head over heels in love with it, to the extent that I bought it again on PC, and then bought it again on Nintendo Switch, and I've played through it on all 3 platforms. I've spent a lot of time with this game, and as much as I love it, it is not a perfect video game. In fact, I'd argue it's a hell of a lot worse than my own biases would have me believe it is. Beneath the surface of this game lies something fundamentally flawed. A confusing mess of bad decisions, poor planning, and mismanagement that I intend to uncover today. What went wrong with FNaF Security Breach? And does it still have enough going right for it to be an enjoyable game? Now, there's a lot to discuss with this game, but I think it'd be best for us to become nice and acquainted with the average gameplay experience of this game. It's important for us all to be up to speed on the main events that happen throughout this game's runtime, whether intentional or not, so that we can all have the necessary context for this discussion, and a deeper understanding of my feelings towards this game. So, with that in mind, let me take you on an abridged wander through my playthrough of this game. Security Breach begins with a glorious cutscene depicting the gang of glam rock animatronics jamming out on stage, before Freddy malfunctions, causing an abrupt end to the show. We reconvene in his dressing room, only to discover that we are a child, and we are trapped inside of Freddy's stomach hatch. Side note, how the fuck did we fit in there? Meet Gregory, also known as Us. His goal is simply to get home, but he can't go with the security guard Vanessa because...
She's trying to get me.
Okay. White woman! Freddy decides to help us with our escape mission, but first we have to free him from his room by climbing through the vents.
Have you heard of Among Us, Gregory?
This is where we get our first introduction to the rest of the gang. Roxy is being an egocentric asshole, Monty is definitely not getting his security deposit back, and Chica is absolutely shredding it on the guitar. Yeah, you go, girl. We jump down into Rockstar Row and discover we don't have the necessary pass to free Freddy, so we have to go collect it from a convenience counter and not get distracted along the way. But then look at this fucking carpet texture. We find the photo pass that we need to open Freddy's door and reach a very important conclusion. That is not a convenience counter, that is a cardboard cutout of a Freddy. We set Freddy free, enter his tum, and head down into the building's maintenance tunnels, a place that no member of the public is allowed to access. But it's okay, because Freddy Mpreg, it overrules all. Freddy decides we are broken, which amounts to nothing more than a narratively convenient excuse to separate me and Freddy so that he can be disciplined. What about the first aid that you said I needed, Freddy? You think I'm broken. Fix me, damn it! Freddy runs low on power and leaves us to fend for ourselves. We find Chica in a toilet. Evasive maneuvers, okay? Oh, never mind! Get chased by her into a maintenance room and learn about the importance of the game's instruction cards. Thank you. Ah! We get chased by the whole gang. That would be lovely, that would be lovely, that would be lovely! Don't run towards Chica, you fucking fool! And we enter a security office to engage in some classic Five Nights at Freddy's office shenanigans. We escape to the main lobby and oh no, the doors closed right when we got there. Guess I'll go execute multiple felonies in one night with split precision.
That's not very superstar of those fuckers.
We're through the most linear part of the game now. This is where things start to get a little more open. We need to upgrade our ticket in order to get into the pizzeria, and on our journey we find... doodads. We have to find and break a ticket upgrade machine in Glamrock Gifts, the place where I discovered... Okay. Ah! Fuck me in the hole. Jesus Christ. I hate the staff bots. We get a daycare pass, so we head into Nostalgia! Hi. Oh no. Trauma! Don't touch me! I just told you not to touch me. Oh my god, you have ADHD. We upgrade our security badge, which causes this cocomelon-ass motherfucker to unleash his inner demons. This is the first segment of the game I have something notable to say about. And what I want to say about it is... fuck this segment! We have to find 5 generators throughout the play structures that bring power and, more importantly, light back to the building. And it never goes smoothly. No! God! Fuck! First of all, this moon animatronic? He's a dick!
This seems real unfortunate for me right off the bat.
His creepy, crawly, fly across the goddamn room, Mario Party 6 looking ass just shows up out of nowhere. I've gone entire runs where I haven't seen him once, and then he just
Oh shit, this is a problem.
appears.
That's not okay, fine.
Secondly, this place is a complete and utter maze. I get that that's the point, but that doesn't mean I can't criticize it. Especially in the dark, it's so easy to mistake certain areas with each other. It's so easy to lose track of where you're supposed to go, and it's so easy to loop back on yourself completely by accident. I found myself getting so excited that I'd reached a generator only to find out I'd already done it. Fuck! This was an even bigger problem at launch too, because each of the wires were all the same color. There was literally no way to visually distinguish each generator from each other, which would just exacerbate the issues I have with this section exponentially. We escape the daycare and are reunited with Freddy, which is very well timed because
Oh my god, hi Chica.
we make our way back to the lobby so that we can enter the main hall of the Mega Pizzaplex. And side note,
Oh, hello. Okay, bye.
I'm sure that wasn't important. Here in the main area of the Pizzaplex, we're able to make our very first choice. Freddy tells us that there are two possible escape routes. One in the main loading dock, which is located under the food court on the first floor, and the other is a fire escape in the third floor prize counter. But before we're able to make our choice, we first have to step off the elevator.
Oh, I thought I was gonna get jump. Way, you motherfucker!
Now, every single individual playthrough I've ever seen of this game went through the food court route. And I've been guilty of this in all of my previous playthroughs too. So this time, I decided I wanted to try going through the third floor arcade fire exit. This route requires you to go to the Superstar Arcade through L Chips, try and find a security office, and then fall out of bounds without even trying.
Yeah, I did it!
What the game doesn't tell you, though, is that it won't let you back in bounds. So I decided to take a very intentional trip back to the daycare.
Where the fuck am I? What?
Let's get back on track here. We enter the office area through a vent and upgrade our badge. This sets off another alarm sequence where we have to fend off Roxy and Monty in the office. I succeeded in this section by utilizing masterful negotiation skills.
I am nothing. Let's rock and roll. Let's do that.
All done. See, that was not so bad.
Oh my fucking god.
We then have to find the VIP room in the back of the prize counter, which took so long.
You're probably wondering how I got here.
Shockingly, that doesn't work. So we have to head back to the elevator and try a new angle.
What? What is this?
Once we escape, we get attacked by a white woman and locked in an old storage room, Harry Potter style. Remember that bunny from earlier? She was kind enough to leave a screwdriver in the room for us, which allows us to escape out of this vent. Thank you, bunny. We get a message from Freddy saying that we need to head to the entrance of Roxy Raceway to help him because he took a piss too hard or something. And we find him in a State of Decay 2, available exclusively for Xbox One. We need to help him get to parts and service by finding a backstage pass in the rehearsal room and using that pass to access the stage controls room. We find a security badge upgrade and a showtime disc, which sets off another alarm that draws the bots towards us. We have to use the monitors dotted around the room to open doors for a newly revitalized Freddy and zap Monty and Roxy when necessary. This is probably one of the most fun sequences in the game. It strikes a perfect balance between the new open gameplay of this game and the classic office formula of the previous games in the series. Freddy reaches up and we jump down to chat with him.
Oh, hi. Hi. Hi, Freddy.
We go with him to the main stage and we head to the sound booth on the third floor to use the program disc. This section is pretty hit or miss for me. Getting to the sound booth is either ridiculously easy or gatekept by Roxy. And getting back to the stage after activating the showtime disc is either pretty easy or gatekept by Roxy. What conclusions can we draw from this data? Fuck Roxy! Oh god, not like that. On our way down to parts and service, everyone's favorite fuckface arrives, and somehow absolutely bodies Freddy and steals him away from us.
Bye, Freddy.
And this opens the door to what was my least favorite part of the game.
Okay. Ah! Jesus.
Well, that not that. The endoskeleton section. The endoskeletons in this game are essentially red light, green light machines. They stop when you're looking at them and approach you when you aren't. In order to help Freddy, we need to get into parts and service. And to get into parts and service, we need to find the security badge upgrade hidden in an office somewhere in the utility tunnels. This section of the Pizzaplex is absolutely littered with endoskeletons. And this left me with an overwhelming sense of dread at the thought of replaying this section. In all of my previous playthroughs, this section has taken me a minimum of an hour, meticulously making my way through the tunnels and trying my best to maintain eye contact with the endoskeletons so they don't chase me. Hiding and stalking the cameras so I could wait for their pre-programmed walking routes to grant me an opportunity to pass safely. It was excruciating and so incredibly easy to back myself into a corner where death was inescapable. I could not bear the thought of suffering through this section again, and upon replaying it, I beat it in just over 15 minutes. First try.
I did it!
No idea how I managed it so much more easily this time, but I am not complaining! We head into parts and service to fix up Fred Boy, and we find out about the upgrades that each of the other bots have. Chica has an upgraded voice box that allows her to let out a screech that drives the other bots wild. Roxy has upgraded eyes that allow her to see the other bots through walls. And Monty has upgraded claws that allow him to play the bass guitar and also destroy anything he lays his eyes on. Gregory justifiably decides, actually, fuck these guys. I want these upgrades. And we're left with yet another choice. We can either head to Phaser Blast to obtain a Phaser Blaster and decommission Chica, or we can head to Monty Golf to get a Phascam and decommission Monty. The Phaser Blast and Phascam both give the player a form of offense against the animatronics. The former is a laser gun that stuns animatronics when you shoot them in the eye, and the latter is a camera with a bright flash that stuns animatronics if you use it close enough to them. In my first playthrough, I decided to tackle Monty first, as I didn't believe that I could get through his section with the post-game stipulations, both of which I'll discuss in due time. But I ended up being completely unable to get through the Chica section with those same post-game stipulations, so this time, I decided to tackle that section first and save Monty for later. So I made my way over to Phaser Blast, accidentally found the next security badge earlier than I was supposed to. Oops. And kicked the shit out of some space robots. I also found Vanny's hideout, but I'm sure that's not really important. I got a Bonnie Bull ticket from a security office and visited that area to get a hold of the Monty mystery mix that Chica goes absolutely crazy for. We make our way to the kitchen, activate the kitchen trash compactor, set down the mystery mix inside of it, and lure Chica in so that she may be smashed. Not like that!
Freddy, help!
We get sent into the soggy underground of the Pizzaplex, and here we get to steal Chica's voice box and have to turn on a number of generators so that we can escape an unfortunately still functional pizza duck. This is a pretty long section, but it was more than manageable. Just not in one try. We find a room with a bunch of staffbot heads and post-it notes, another thing that I'm sure isn't important, and we head back to parts and service for another upgrade, and we're introduced to the new and improved Freddy.
Oh my god, your voice.
Now it's time to head to Roxy Raceway to decommission Roxy. This part of the game always happens here, even if you were to decommission Monty first. Now, I ended up heading to the wrong part of the raceway. I went to the hair and makeup salon when I was supposed to go to the main race course, and I ended up finding a running speed upgrade.
Speed boost!
I genuinely had no idea that this was an upgrade that even existed in this game, and this ended up being instrumental to the rest of my playthrough. Anyway, we get a warm welcome to the raceway, and we find a driver assist bot in need of a head.
Ah, my god!
I found the head. It's broken though, so we need to head to the West Arcade in order to fix it. This is where we're introduced to everybody's favorite Music Man! So, in this section, we reach the office where the head repair machine is, and the arcade shuts down completely. We have to reset the audio circuit breaker, and then restore power to the arcade by once again turning on a bunch of generators throughout the arcade whilst being chased by a wall-crawling music man, a broken Chica, and everybody's favorite Monty. Is this section easy?
No! God damn it!
I wouldn't say so, no. This section fucked me every which way. First, I didn't realize there was a third switch in the larger area of the arcade, and when I finally did figure that out and get there... No! Then on my next few attempts, Music Man just,
Well,
didn't play nice. I don't know if I was missing something, but this freak of nature just kept killing me, and it pissed me off so much! I finally had a pretty successful attempt though. I got the bathroom switch, the lower arcade switch, and then Chica fucked me up again. Great! So, get those two switches again, and then... The answer is that she came in from the side. She was only there for about 4 frames before killing me, and she was almost completely shrouded in darkness, but damn my idiot bastard eyes for not seeing her. Fuck! It's fine. I'll just try it.
What do you mean?
Okay. Okay. What the fuck am I supposed to do? Alright. Fuck it. I'm taking off my headphones and I'm putting on a podcast. Fuck this bullshit! After you've gotten all 3 switches, you have to head up to the corridor outside of the office and run all the way to the bottom of it. Hit the switch that's there, and then Music Man appears to chase you. He's supposed to drop obstacles in front of you to make the chase harder, but I have the speed upgrade, so I was getting through the section faster than he was able to block my path. Get the head and get out of Fucktown! Jesus Christ Superstar! We head back to the raceway, give the driver its head, and witness the most satisfying roadside death the world has ever seen.
There you go. Perfect.
We grab Roxy's eyes, and then we have to escape this little area we've been trapped in. Now, I'd like it to be known that at this point, I was pretty burned out with this game, and honestly, stopped giving a fuck, which led to a lot of...
Fuck did you...
That's an issue! What? It's all good though. I made it through that section and headed back to parts and service to upgrade Fred Boy. Or at least that's what I would be saying if the game didn't shit itself at the mere thought of me trying to use the upgrade machine. I am pressing E to use the machine. Once we finally do manage to upgrade Freddy, he is able to see through walls, which is an amazing ability to get at the end of the game. Yeah, after this upgrade, it hits 6 AM. The moon emoji is after us one last time, and our only mission is to escape. We can head to the loading dock or arcade fire escape exits to unlock 2 alternate endings to the game, but the primary endings that most players are going to encounter are at the main entrance to the building. We can either leave, oh god, yes please, yeah, I'll do that, I'll take that option, bye! We can vanny, or we can stay, with a twist. If we stay, none of the save stations in the Pizzaplex will work anymore, meaning that if you die, you have to come all the way back to this point. Does that sound a little too difficult? Does that seem a little unfair? Especially in a game that likes to kill you for completely bullshit reasons way more often than it kills you for legitimate reasons? Yeah, well, Steelwool agreed, and they added 1 single save station in the main atrium. Thanks, you metal lamb. Before getting any of the endings, I still had a Monty to fuck up. So I went to Gator Golf using the extra pass Freddy gave me when I chose to stay. I went to the security office to get the Fazcam and Mazer-size ticket. I went to the downstairs of the daycare theater to get a Mazer-size control key. I went to Mazer-size, moved the maze around so that I could access the vent in the corner, and made my way to the catwalks to fight Monty. I was scared about this fight. I did this with the ability to save right outside on PS4 and only got through it by the skin of my tits. So doing it on PC with the only save being 4 miles away was intimidating. But I gave it my all and I beat it flawlessly in less than 2 minutes. I'm not even making that up. I got Gummery's claws, upgraded Freddy, and then got myself ready to wrap this shit up. So, let me break down the endings in the order I did them. There's the normal Vanny ending, where Freddy gets disassembled, we make our way through the bag of Fazzablast to Vanny's hideout, we take control of the staff bots, and we disassemble Vanny. That's the Vanny ending most people will get. But there is another Vanny ending, which also just so happens to be the only 3-star ending in the game. To get this, we need to glitch all of the playable arcade cabinets in the Pizzaplex. Princess Quest, which is in Roxy's salon, Princess Quest 2, which is in the East Arcade hallway and only accessible after beating the first one, Princess Quest 3, which is in Vanny's hideout and only accessible during the Vanny ending and after beating the first two, and Balloon World, which is only accessible after you find this poster in the daycare theater depicting pirate versions of the 4 main FNaF animatronics. Find cardboard cutouts of them throughout the Pizzaplex and flash them with the Fazcam to make their eyes glow. Return to the poster after all 4 have been flashed and see that it's now a door that leads you into the sun/moon room above the daycare. Here you'll find the cabinet. You'll play it and try to find any glitches, which are these purple squiggles. Once you find one, you have to touch it, activating this weird glitchy trail, and you have to stay on the trail until the game completely bugs out and kicks you out. After glitching BB World, Princess Quest 1 and 2, and then beating 3 in the Vanny ending, Vanny is redeemed and Gregory gets to go home. The two eat ice cream on a hill with a severed Freddy head. Beautiful. As far as I'm aware, none of these endings are considered canon, hence the comic book style animation they have going on. The canon ending is achieved underground in Roxy Raceway. Here we find an entire pizzeria, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Place from Pizzeria Simulator to be specific, and after a Freddy monologue and a weird amalgamation of old animatronics, we fall down into a secret base and discover Burn Trap, a somehow still living William Afton who is trying to take control of Freddy and kill off Gregory. This is our final fight that tests all the skills and abilities we've cultivated over this entire playthrough, and it's completely and utterly broken. Are we really surprised at this point? The fight is supposed to go down thusly. Afton tries to take control of Freddy while sending all of the other animatronics your way, so you have to deal with them whilst also burning old Willy a minimum of 5 times. Each of the animatronics are dealt with in different ways. For Chica, you simply close the door on her, and that worked fine. For Roxy, you're supposed to get into Freddy and use Chica's voice box to scare her away, and that didn't work!
Freddy? Freddy?
Freddy! 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 No matter what goes wrong, I can always trace it back to you. I didn't even get to encounter Mondi, or the Blob, who was supposed to be a part of this fight. No. I ended up having to hide behind this bed and blindly dash out, pressing all 3 burn buttons, hoping one would work every time Freddy was getting possessed, and then run back to the bed and wait until the next possession. I waited behind this bed for 15 fucking minutes accumulatively, but you know what? It worked! Yes! 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 I fucking did it! I got the canon ending, where Freddy and Gregory run from a burning pizzaplex while Afton gets grabbed by the Blob and killed off until the next game. And while I should be happy to achieve the true canon ending, I'm just glad that this glitchy, buggy, broken abomination of a game is finally fucking over. I am free of this game and its bullshit. But I'm not free of analyzing it. We're only just getting this party started, bitches! One of the biggest hurdles faced by the team behind this game was the world the game took place in. Five Nights at Freddy's is a point-and-click series at heart, and all of the games have taken place almost exclusively in one single room. So adapting that same gameplay formula into an open-space 3D adventure-style horror game was not going to be an easy feat. For starters, the gameplay itself was going to have to be fundamentally altered in order to better fit the game's structure. The player character has to be able to move around instead of being stuck to one spot, and they needed to be able to interact with more than just the lights and doors and other systems at play within the office. FNaF Security Breach tackled the jump to the open space relatively well in my opinion. The scope they were aiming for is perfectly encapsulated by this game's setting. the Freddy Fazbear's Mega Pizzaplex, a gargantuan, all-encompassing wonderland of Faz that is beautifully designed and laid out. Aside from all the child murder and cult activity and general trauma the place seems to birth upon literally every single one of its pre-adolescent compatriots, this place seems like an absolute paradise. It achieves something very rare. It's a place that I would absolutely kill to visit in real life. It stands right up there with the Porky Park and Isle Delfino. But it also has this strange sense of familiarity to it too. The daycare in particular captures such a similar vibe to play areas I used to visit as a kid. I can smell this place, and I can also feel how sticky the floors are because kids don't wash their fucking hands before playing in the ball pit even though they're covered in ketchup. There's just such a comforting familiarity to the Pizzaplex. I know this really is not something I should be praising in a horror game, having a comforting connection with its world, but I'd argue that almost works to enhance the horror, as the two things act in stark contrast to one another. The mere act of moving around this world also feels great. Gregory has a nice weight and speed to him, but he feels just limited enough in his capabilities to not render traversal of the environments a non-issue. Gregory is equipped with a couple of tools to help him find his way through this place and fend off the animatronics. He has his flashlight, which is very standard for a FNaF game, he has a Phaser Blaster and Phazcam, which I already touched on, and he has his greatest defense of all, Freddy!
Okay. Freddy? Why? Freddy, what the fuck?
Okay, maybe not greatest defense, but he's trying his best, alright? Yes, one of the key parts of this game is your companionship with Freddy. He is your friend, your guardian, your protector, your idiot friend who is very well intentioned but inevitably fucks everything up. He is precious, and I hate him sometimes. Freddy offers a lot of utility in this game, namely the fact that he acts as an animatronic mech suit for Gregory to get around in as and when he pleases. When inside Freddy, Gregory is completely undetectable. None of the animatronics will be able to find you, which is an incredible power to have, but it does come with a few costs. For starters, Freddy is pretty slow. He's a big, clumpy lump of metal. He can sprint at horrifying speeds, but not when he is with child. That wouldn't end well for anybody. Secondly, Freddy's battery drains pretty quickly, and if his battery dies completely when you're inside him, he'll chomp ya. This leads to an interesting dance of trying to use Freddy to get past the animatronics and generally be safer, whilst also using him sparingly enough that you can keep an acceptable level of power in him. There are recharge stations dotted about the map, but chances are, if you're going to be in close proximity to the other animatronics or staff bots, there won't be a recharge station within a reasonable distance, so you just have to make do with what you've got. I think they struck a really nice balance here. If the limitations were any more severe, I'd probably find myself questioning what the point of even having Freddy be usable was. But they're also strict enough to add a satisfying level of strategy to the gameplay. It's a really engaging system. Now, Freddy isn't always accessible to you. Sure, in most areas of the game you can press the Call Freddy button and he'll come barreling towards you at breakneck speeds, but there are a lot of areas in the game that Freddy strictly can't access, or at the very least, can't access during the main story scenario that takes place there. So you can't let yourself become too reliant on him, and these sections offer a nice change of pace gameplay-wise. What makes every part of the gameplay experience better, though, is the upgrades that you can find. Throughout the game, you're able to upgrade a few key things. Your shoes, making Gregory much faster, your stamina through 4 different energy drinks, your clothes upgrade to a hoodie, which increases your stealth, your flashlight gets an upgrade, and so does Freddy's battery. These upgrades are so nice to have, man. In my last playthrough, I got barely any of these upgrades, and the difference this time around was astonishing. I have no clue how I managed to get through this game without them. Although one gripe I have with them is that you really do just find them. It's not like a Metroidvania where you do something to unlock them and then you can access new parts of the map. These upgrades are literally just in boxes that you might find, but that you also might not. I mean, there are more traditional upgrades, and they're all for Freddy, but they're all pretty situational if you ask me. Chica and Mondi's upgrades are basically just used to get through gates, and Roxy's lets you see items through walls, which, by the way, is not at all what the game makes this ability out to be. When you first learn about the Roxy upgrade, the game tells you multiple times that she can see the other animatronics through the walls, but when you put this upgrade in Freddy, that's not the case. Just a missed opportunity if you ask me. But I'm forgetting one of the most important tools in Gregory's arsenal, the Fazwatch. This is kind of not as useful as you'd want it to be. So this is a smartwatch that Freddy gives us as a means of silent communication, a concept that, by the way, he throws out the window mere minutes later. This watch is equipped with many a helpful feature, namely access to the Pizzaplex's cameras, a map, a mission log, and a message log. The mission log is fairly self-explanatory and pretty useful. The message log is really cool. It stores messages that you find in duffel bags all over the building, and these messages act as a means of non-linear storytelling, as well as a hint system. I'll touch on the former use in a little bit, but as a hint system, they work pretty well. My only gripe in this regard would be the lack of any sort of, well, sorting. The messages all just get separated by read and unread, making it kind of hard to find a specific message you need to remind yourself of. The map and camera functionality is really where this watch leaves a lot to be desired, though. The map is almost completely fucking useless. Sorry to say. It does give a fairly basic image of each floor's layout, it offers a couple of key details, but the biggest issue with it is that it's not interactable. Interactwithable? You can't do shit with it, basically. You can't zoom in on it, you can't set any pins or anything, and Freddy says early on in the game that he'll mark locations on the map, and spoiler alert, he doesn't. This to me points to one of two things. Either the devs planned on implementing functionality to mark key locations on the map, and forgot, or they made a choice not to include that and forgot to remove the Freddy dialogue. Either outcome doesn't really bode particularly well if you ask me. And finally, the camera system. It's fine, it's serviceable, but not really anything but. Like, let's get a little bit of perspective here. In every single FNaF game prior to this one, the cameras were your sole method of keeping tabs on the animatronics. And while they try to capture that here, the camera setup is way too clunky to pull that off. The cameras themselves aren't really put in the best positions most of the time. You can move them around a bit, which is a cool innovation, but that only helps so much. I swear, I'll try and find a camera and an angle that points directly at wherever I'm hiding, and I just can't do it most of the time. And even when I can see where I am, can I really? Look, I get why the image quality is so bad. It's grainy in the other games, and this is a tiny handheld screen in the context of the game. But the quality combined with this awful scanline effect makes looking at the cameras a thoroughly unenjoyable experience. Looking at the cameras for an extended period of time borders on headache-inducing with the constant flashing. Again, I understand why it's this way, and it's serviceable enough, but you'd be surprised how far you can get in this game by simply not using the cameras, and just keeping a close eye on your immediate surroundings. Overall though, the gameplay here, in my opinion, is really solid, and the great number of different sequences that limit the player in some way and bring some new spin on that gameplay are, for the most part, pretty enjoyable. At least in principle. But there are a couple of things that bring down the gameplay experience pretty substantially. The first of which being... It wouldn't be a FNaF game without a band of bots being hell-bent on bringing us down, and this game is absolutely no exception to that. We obviously have Freddy, our golden little angel, but he's on our team, defending us against a pretty interesting cast. The core cast consists of Glamrock Chica, Roxanne Wolf, and Montgomery Gator, and I adore these guys so very much. much. I mean, sure, Roxy will never be Foxy and Monty will never be Bonnie, but I really like these guys. Their designs are wonderful, first of all. They're all really unique and fun to look at, and they pair perfectly with their personalities. The dialogue and voice acting, as well as the way these animatronics act in gameplay, really brings these characters to life in a way I've personally never felt before in this series. But I will emphasize, personally, and reiterate that I've never played more than 2 nights of any of the other games, so take that with a fisting of salt. Roxy is an egomaniac. She is completely and utterly self-obsessed, but it's clear as day that this comes from a place of insecurity. She knows damn well she ain't got shit on Foxy, so she spends every second of her life trying to convince everyone around her, but mostly herself, that she is still great and worthy of love. This comes across in her somewhat reckless attack patterns. She's trying so hard to prove she's the best, that she's the one who will get Gregory, that she often ends up kind of just charging at him without much thought. Monty is a machine of pure rage. He is the angriest little motherfucker I ever did lay eyes on, and he also comes equipped with a heaping helping of arrogance. Unlike Roxy, he knows he's the strongest, and he has a unique and very deadly lunge attack that he can use to cross big gaps and close in on Gregory very quickly. However, while he doesn't find himself too distracted by self-pity to remember to strategize, he does find himself too caught up in his ego to think that he needs to strategize, which similarly often leads to him lunging towards Gregory in a way that really was never going to work out for him. Finally, Chica is obsessed with food, to the extent that that's literally how you go about decommissioning her, and this pizza-loving guitarist can often come across as quite ditzy. She holds herself as though she was kind of on the slower side, a little too away with the fairies to be an effective killer, but I actually found Chica to be the single most deadly critter in the game. Don't let her demeanor fool you. She may be a few screws short of being a cunning strategist, but she's also too airheaded to be distracted by any thoughts of her own ability or perceived greatness, making her a swift and effective killer. Chica can run faster than I think she should be able to, and once she's honed in on you, it's very hard to shake her, and she also seems to be the most observant of the bunch. Each of the animatronics are a lot less predictable than previous foes in the series, which leads to a lot of on-the-fly thinking and split-second decision-making when trying to avoid their grasps, which is not inherently a problem. What is, though, is the fact that these 3 are pretty much your only foes. Now, let's not get it twisted. There are a fair number of other animatronics throughout the Pizzaplex. The Endoskeletons, Music Man and Mini Music Man, Moon Man, Vanny, I guess, but all of these characters are very situational, and are mostly confined to singular areas in the game. None of them are a consistent threat. The only other foes that appear frequently throughout the game are the staff bots, who, in all fairness, are a huge nuisance. They all have set paths that can be very difficult to avoid, so they do require a lot of strategy and well thought out maneuvers to get past. But the problem is, if you do run into a staff bot, they won't hurt you. They'll just alert and summon the main 3. This is problematic for 2 main reasons. Number 1, this severely limits the potential gameplay variety. Yes, these 3 animatronics are very different from one another and require a lot of on-the-fly strategy. But when you keep encountering just these 3 time and time again, it can get pretty easy to develop and perfect those strategies. I mean, it's only 3 animatronics across an entire 8 to 10 hour playthrough. That is a lower number of active enemies than the original Five Nights at Freddy's, and you're dealing with them for upwards of 5 times the playtime. Even if we were to just take the toy-adjacent animatronics from FNaF 2, Toy Freddy, Toy Bonnie, Toy Chica, Mangle, Balloon Boy, JJ, I guess, and the Puppet, and adapt them to this style of gameplay to work in a similar way to the Glam Rocks, that is a substantial increase in the possible scenarios and strategies you'd encounter, and it would also help fend off issue number 2, the immersion issue. Look, I understand that there needs to be a threat in pretty much every area of the game. I truly do. But when I've just gone through an entire underground section with Roxy and escaped, seemingly leaving her trapped down there, and then I get to the main atrium a mere minute and a half later and she's already there patrolling the place like nothing happened, that is massively immersion breaking. And it's not like this is a one-off occurrence. This happens all the time. You'll deal with an animatronic or two in one room, you'll head into the next room, and they're magically there, waiting for you. And God forbid if you get caught by a staff bot, either Chica, Roxy, or Monty will teleport to a few meters away from you every time you get caught by one of these things. You can watch these fuckers be miles away from you, accidentally cross paths with a staff bot, and then watch them teleport in and kill you. And I get it. It's a game about murderous animatronics in a giant 80s shopping center. How immersed can you expect to be? But I can be fully immersed in space with an Italian plumber and his star friends. Or alone on a planet with little plant creatures who help me fend off the ravenous local wildlife. The absurdity of the world does not limit one's ability to be immersed in it. Quite on the contrary, I'd argue. But what does limit immersion is a game's inability to stick to the rules of its own world. We're supposed to believe that these animatronics are a real threat, that they have some degree of autonomy, and that they're trying their very best to get you. But when they just teleport around the place whenever their heart desires, that tension is broken. Immersion is very important in a horror game. That's what makes it scary beyond cheap frights. And this game fundamentally fails to immerse me most of the time. I can try to be immersed in the game, but I'm always pulled out of it when I see this happen. I can try to play it off as the animatronics having some haunted, ghostly qualities to them, but then I see the game spawn them in on top of me. However you slice it, the immersion is just not there, or at least it's not there consistently. And while a greater number of animatronics wouldn't necessarily fix that, the small number isn't exactly doing the game any favors. Because I could suspend my disbelief to a certain extent if I saw Monty, Roxy, and Chica patrolling around, and then Bonnie appeared out of nowhere when I hit a staff bot. And if the others made their way to me even slightly more gradually, I'd buy that. I could believe that Baby Ballora and Norville the Elephant were in the next room over from Chica, Roxy, and Monty. That makes sense. And obviously, it doesn't have to be those specific characters. They could easily make characters that'd work in this game's world. But you get the point I'm making. These three are probably my favorite animatronics in the series. I'm way more attached to them than any others. But they do bring down the gameplay a fair bit for me. But they're only one piece of the puzzle here. The other thing that brings down the gameplay experience of Security Breach is, of course, I think it's safe to say that you don't need me to tell you how glitchy this game is, right? This is probably one of the most well-documented games when it comes to the sheer vast amount of ways in which it can break completely. Look at any playthrough of this game and you'll see whoever is playing suffer through an inordinate amount of bugs. And even here, 3 years after the game released, this is very much still the case. In all of my playthroughs of this game, I have encountered a lot of glitches. And like, sure, there's the simple stuff like visual glitches, bots getting stuck on little nicks in the environment while still cycling through their run animations, certain things in the environment not having the proper collision, but like, those are somewhat to be expected in a game as big as this. It's a little bit crazy that they still have not been patched, but not a deal breaker. But if those were the only glitches present in this game, well, frankly, I wouldn't still be talking about it. Now, I don't need to explain why a game being glitchy is not a good thing. I think we all understand that principle. So instead, I'll tell you why it personally bothers me. I find this game scary. Okay? I'd love to pretend that I don't, but when my reaction to it very often sounds like I don't really have a leg to stand on. However, when the game is glitching at a very frequent rate, those reactions very, very quickly turn into ones of pure frustration. Because 9 times out of 10, the game glitching, or not acting the way it's supposed to, results in me dying. And when I die because the game didn't function right, all that does is breed frustration. If I make a choice in a game and it gets me killed, fine. If I lack the skills to get through a certain challenge and that gets me killed, fine. Those are both expected outcomes that I can learn from and adapt to. But when I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing and the game isn't, and that gets me killed, that's unacceptable. The game can be incredibly unforgiving at points, so killing me because it just can't get its own shit together? It's bullshit! I know I'm gonna sound like a whiny little bitch, but let's also be clear. There were a great number of glitches that worked in my favor, and those are also not okay. The one thing you never want is for your player to feel that the game is being completely unfair, and for them to want to stop playing. And holy shit, did Security Breach get me feeling those ways so many times. And again, this isn't just a me problem. There are countless compilations of this game completely falling apart. This is not a player issue or a hardware issue or anything like that. It's a security breach issue. And I think the thing is, some of the glitches, like the animatronics spawning on top of you or giving up when a timer ends, can't really be classified as glitches because that's the game functioning exactly as it was supposed to. Those examples are more of a game design issue, which is a whole other can of worms. The rest of the game being so broken would reasonably lead you to assume that this is not intentional behavior, but it happens every time you get caught by a staff bot. It's not coincidence, it's hard-coded behavior. But you want to know what the worst thing about this game is in the realm of glitches and bugs? The performance. Doesn't matter what version you're playing, doesn't even seem to matter how powerful your hardware is. This game chokes on itself disgustingly frequently. There are constant frame drops, periods of time wherein the game barely manages a stable 10 frames per second. Even if everything else in the game is working swimmingly, the performance tanking is borderline inevitable, and that sucks. I know I don't have the best computer in the world, okay? I'm well aware of this. But it's not a bad computer either. It can handle Overwatch 2, Dead by Daylight, FNaF Help Wanted 1 and 2 perfectly fine. Security Breach is the only game I consistently run into problems with. And the thing is, it's better now than it's ever been. Every now and then, the game will pause intentionally to load and unload certain data and parts of the map, so that the performance can remain a lot smoother. And this is a relatively new addition to the game. It didn't used to do this at launch, or at least not intentionally. It'd just wait for the performance to tank and then do something about it. But this system of intentionally pausing to load was added to mitigate that problem. It did not help to mitigate that problem. No matter where you look, no matter what you're doing, you're surrounded by a constant stream of bugs and glitches and issues, and it's downright exhausting at times. How can one possibly hope to enjoy the game when the game seems to be held together with little more than duct tape and hope? These issues, as well as my gripes with the animatronics, turn what on paper is a fantastic and very enjoyable gameplay experience into a jumbled, confusing mess of inconsistency and sheer fucking luck. Will the game work as intended? Will it run properly? Will you be able to get through a section without something going AWOL and getting you killed? You better roll those fucking dice and hope for a 6, baby. But chances are, you're fucked. And all of this isn't even my biggest issue with Security Breach. All of this barely even holds a candle to... I'm sure you were able to gather from my breakdown of the game's key events, but the plot for Security Breach is completely all over the place. The basic narrative at play is that Gregory got trapped in the Pizzaplex and is trying to escape. Freddy is a friendly bot who wants to help Gregory, while the other animatronics are out to get him. We can't trust the security guard for some reason, and there's also this rabbit lady who shares an eerily similar name to the security guard. On its own, that plot is serviceable enough. Not particularly deep or overly interesting, but it works. There's still stuff for you to ponder, like why is Freddy helping you? Why are the other bots trying to kill this child? What's the deal with Vanessa? It still gets you thinking. The problem, though, is that they tried to sprinkle in a lot of other narrative details through the message system. On the one hand, this is super cool. It reminds me of Metroid Prime and the way the scan logs fleshed out that game's world. When it's done right here, it works really well to add a layer of mystery and intrigue to the game. A good example of this is the many mentions of glam rock Bonnie throughout the game. Bonnie was an immediately noticeable absence from the core gang in this game, and yet he still has an entire bowling alley named after him, and we hear Freddy say things like, "The Pizzaplex doesn't have a bunny anymore, and I miss him." It gets you wondering what happened to Bonnie. He clearly was here, and now he isn't, and some of the messages throughout the game help to flesh this story out. It's implied a few times throughout the game that Monty destroyed Bonnie so that he could replace him in the band, which not only works to fill in the gaps of Bonnie's absence, but also fleshes out Monty's personality and history. It's great. However, there are a lot of story threads introduced through these messages that unfortunately leave me with a lot more questions than answers. The worst offender by far in my eyes is the mention of kids going missing. In a few of the endings, there are newspaper articles titled "Residents Continue to Go Missing" and stuff to similar effect. And before leaving the Pizzaplex, Gregory and Freddy talk about these disappearances as if they're a known thing, which they aren't. The only message I ever got throughout the entire game that even alluded to this was one that read, "Why did you reopen? We all know what happened to those kids." And I'm just sat here thinking, no the fuck we don't? Like, I can probably assume what happened. This is a FNaF game after all, but the juxtaposition between the explicit call out at the end of the game and the complete lack of other information throughout the game doesn't leave me with a sense of intrigue. It leaves me completely baffled. And to the best of my knowledge, I'm not even missing any notable messages that would help pad out this narrative thread, so what gives? And even if there were major story details I've missed because I didn't find the messages, that to me speaks to a larger issue with this method of delivering a narrative. Some messages do include story details, and that's really cool, but a lot of the others are as simple as this one. You should fire Dave, he sucks. The dichotomy between how significant some messages are to the lore and how insignificant others are leads to an issue of incentive. I could try and actively seek out every single message in the game in the hopes of filling the blanks of the narrative, but there is a non-zero chance that in doing so, I will find no answers, which makes it really difficult for me to want to seek those answers in the first place. If the game could be a little bit more explicit with what is and is not important to the narrative, I honestly think it'd go a long way. I'm not expecting them to hand me anything directly because, again, it's a FNaF game. But even just having a way to visually distinguish which messages carry story significance so that they could be actively hunted down would make this whole thing much better. But this message system isn't even the game's only method of non-linear storytelling. It also has the retro CDs. After you've gotten the Roxy upgrade for Freddy, you can find 16 CDs dotted around the map, and they can be played in a hidden room in the Pizzaplex that's a one-to-one recreation of the living room from Sister Location, which opens up an entire can of worms in its own right. These CDs contain recordings of therapy sessions. The game presents these as though the therapists are talking to the same person, but reading the transcripts and a little bit of inference makes it pretty clear that there are two people attending these sessions. One is Vanessa, and another is unknown, silent, and seemingly a child. The tapes also go through a number of therapists, and it's implied that they all end up getting killed off. And the tapes offer some insight into the past and behaviors of these characters. The child is suspected to be Gregory, but seeing as that's not 100% confirmed, I'm not going to touch on that side of things. But I will touch on the Vanessa tapes. See, these tapes, Help Wanted, and the mobile game Special Delivery all work together to form a really interesting narrative for Vanessa. She's seemingly being coerced and manipulated into doing a lot of things she doesn't want to do, and falls under the control of Glitch Trap, a computer virus version of William Afton's soul. Don't look too much into that one. And these tapes try to break down the psychology of how and why she is so susceptible to this manipulation. It paints a picture of a lonely, broken Vanessa with a tragic past, and aims to serve as an explanation for the things she does throughout this game's story. Not only that, these three games work together to establish a potentially very intriguing narrative of Afton's ability to coerce and enlist victims into doing his bidding from beyond the mortal realm. A thing that would explain everything Vanny does in this game. If Vanny actually did anything in this game. This is my biggest problem with Security Breach's story. What was even the point in Vanny being here? Let's recount every notable thing she did in this game. She ran past a recharge station in the daycare, she appeared when we escaped the lost and found room Vanessa put us in, she made very brief appearances in a couple of sections throughout the game, but she was always in the background and not really doing much. And then she disassembled Freddy and either chased Gregory out of the Pizzaplex or got redeemed, depending on which Vanny ending you got. That's nothing. She did nothing. If we don't count her background cameos, she did 3 things in this game, 2 of which involved walking past us, and the other has some significant implications, her ability to control the staff bots for example, that don't really go anywhere. And yet Vanny was one of the biggest parts of this game's marketing. Hell, she's one of the biggest parts of this game's entire identity. And yet functionally, she served little to no purpose in this game. Why? She's supposed to be a really important character. I'm supposed to care about her, but how can I when she barely shows up? And we learn next to nothing about her throughout the entire game. There's implications that she is the princess in Princess Quest, which is why beating all 3 of those games redeems her. And that's the good ending of the game. We're supposed to feel like we did a great thing by saving the soul of a character we've spent less than 3 minutes with in an 8 to 10 hour long game. Wasted potential doesn't even scratch the surface of my feelings towards Vanny. Conceptually, she is a very cool character. The CDs and the stories of Help Wanted and Special Delivery build the foundations for an exceptionally interesting villain for not just this game, but the series. And they completely squandered that opportunity. It's not even really explained where the line between Vanny and Vanessa is. The two seemingly appear interchangeably, and they're obviously the same character. The game makes sure we know that their names being similar isn't a coincidence. But which one appears at what point seems completely arbitrary. It's baffling, and honestly, quite upsetting that this character was so underutilized. And I know for a fact this wasn't supposed to be the case. In fact, I don't think any of the blunders of the story were meant to be the way they are. There are so many narrative threads that are placed in the game that lead absolutely nowhere, and they weren't supposed to. Because my friends, this isn't the game we were supposed to get. At all, in fact. But in order to explain what I mean by that, we need to discuss there is an inordinate amount of evidence that the game we ended up getting with Security Breach is a completely different beast than the game we were supposed to get. And we can see this clear as day as far back as the first trailer. Here we hear what we assume to be either Vanny or a different animatronic than the main gang, talking to Gregory very calmly. There's an implication of a more involved connection between the two characters than any foe in the final game. It's clear that the voice got angry and lashed out at Gregory, but she is promising not to do it again. She's clearly looking for Gregory, who is hiding, presumably with Freddy, but by the end of the trailer, he's found. In the second trailer, we hear a male voice talking about someone, presumably Vanny, being nothing when he found them. We then see gameplay sequences that never made their way into the final version, such as Vanessa looking at Gregory with a concerned look on her face as he descends out of her sight. We hear a female voice speaking to Gregory, saying that the two of them will escape together, and this voice really sounds like Vanessa to me, which is fascinating. There's so much Vanny imagery in this trailer, but there's also a seemingly friendly Vanessa genuinely trying to help Gregory escape. And this is all topped off by that male voice again.
And you will, both of you, burn!
This trailer is so intriguing to me. It gets my mind racing as to what this version of the game would have been. Because notice, there's no sign of an ally Freddy in this trailer. In fact, the only time we do see him here, he's standing with the rest of the animatronics with glowing red eyes. It feels like this version of the game was going to play into the dichotomy of Vanessa and Vanny, where Vanessa was trying her hardest to help Gregory escape the bots and the Pizzaplex, but this male voice is coercing her into a constant struggle. Under his control, she is Vanny, and is trying to orchestrate the bots to play into Gregory's downfall. And it feels like there would have been an element of having to save Vanessa from the voice's control so that she in turn could save you. The next trailer shows us a game that's pretty identical to the game we ended up getting, which paints a pretty clear timeline of when this game underwent the changes it did. The gameplay trailer released in February 2020, and the final trailer released in October 2021. The game changed completely between these two trailers, and the reason for it? Well, what happened only a month after the incredible gameplay trailer? That's right, the world came to a sudden, grinding halt because of a global pandemic. And this isn't mere speculation, my friends. In August 2024, Scott Cawthon did an interview with YouTube creator Dorgo, and he had this to say.
COVID took well-structured work systems and suddenly scattered them.
So, there we have it, right? We found our boogeyman. COVID was the reason that this game ended up the way it was, right? Well, I'm not completely satisfied with that conclusion. I'm by no means denying the effect of the pandemic. The team was scattered across the globe and most likely had to do a lot of development from home, where they may not have had access to the same hardware. This obviously had an incalculably huge impact on the team. But you want to know what else had an impact? The delays. You see, when FNaF Security Breach was first being teased, it was slated to release in 2020. This window was later slimmed down to late 2020, but once the pandemic hit, a delay to early 2021 was announced. However, come April 2021, yet another delay was announced. The game was pushed back to late 2021 and would finally release that December. By the time the second delay hit, fans were reaching the end of their patience. Let's remember that the typical time between the reveal and release of a FNaF game was mere months at that point. But for Security Breach, if we count the teasers, this game was known about for over 2 years by the time it finally released. This, to me, actually explains a lot. The pandemic hit and development slowed to a crawl as a result. The developers saw how sick of the delays the fans were getting, and most likely knew that they couldn't make the game we saw in the February 2020 trailer without even more delays. So, at some point, they pivoted. They changed the direction of the game to ensure that they could still get it out when they promised. If this was the case, then that explains how wildly different the game ended up being between those two trailers. It also explains how unpolished and flawed the game is. And it explains the completely all over the place story. They changed the direction the game was going in a major way, and didn't give themselves the time to properly flesh out the story or polish the game just so they could avoid another delay. This is a picture that more accurately explains what went wrong with Security Breach. A global pandemic, a handful of delays, a complete shift in direction, and overall mismanagement of the project. But this puzzle still has one piece remaining, my friends, and it was revealed to us in that same Dorko interview in August of 2020. What went wrong with FNaF Security Breach? What's the reason it ended up the way it did? Well, it's simple. Scott Cawthon is to blame. In June of 2021, following the controversial revelation that Scott had donated to a number of political figures who were openly anti-LGBT, Scott Cawthon retired from game development and the FNaF series. This sent shockwaves throughout the community. This series and its fandom had long been a safe haven for LGBT fans, so to know that they had indirectly been funding politicians that wanted to strip them of their rights and freedoms, it understandably made the community extremely angry. Scott addressed this the best he could, and stepped away from the franchise with immediate effect to try and lessen the hurt and impact of what he'd done. People who reacted negatively to the news of his political affiliations were completely in their right to do so, and their feelings are completely valid. I am not here to dispute any of this, but rather, I'm here to discuss, well, what was FNaF without Scott Cawthon? And more specifically, where did his absence leave Security Breach? It was assumed that he had left very clear instructions for Steel Wool for the completion of the game, but looking at the final product forces me to call that into question. I've always been skeptical that Steel Wool were working with a clear vision for this game, and I had this confirmed for me in that interview. To summarize, Scott said that, specifically relating to the game's story, instead of telling the team at Steel Wool exactly what the story was and how he wanted it to be told, he gave the team the clues that he wanted to be placed into the game and assumed that the team would connect the dots for him. And that, right there, explains everything. Why are there so many narrative threads that lead nowhere? Because the team working on the game were not told where they were supposed to go. Why is the game's narrative a confusing mess? Because the team were trying their best to piece together the puzzle they had been left by Scott. The most revealing things in this interview to me were A, the fact that even Scott felt that Vanny was massively underutilized. That was very validating for me. And his explanation of what was supposed to become of Burn Trap. You've probably been wondering why I didn't mention this guy in the story section, and the simple answer is, how was I supposed to go about that? What is there to say about Burn Trap? He is the most confusing, out of left field addition in the entire game. His mere presence makes absolutely zero sense, both in terms of the narrative this game tries to tell, and the narrative of the greater series. In this interview, Scott revealed that, yeah, Burn Trap really doesn't make sense, because he was never supposed to be the main antagonist. In fact, he was never supposed to move. To paraphrase, Burn Trap was supposed to appear in the background of the game, never at the forefront, but rather a looming presence that was never close enough to touch. He had a very specific purpose, but he was never supposed to move or interact with the player. So, what was the issue here? An issue that extends to the rest of this game's development. Miscommunication. Clearly, something went wrong when Scott was trying to tell the team Burn Trap's purpose, because he was forced into a game he didn't fit into and forced to serve a purpose that was a completely polar opposite to his intended purpose. I'm by no means saying that Scott's retirement was directly to blame for this, but what I am saying is, if this controversy hadn't have happened and Scott hadn't taken an immediate step away from the franchise, there's a chance this could have been caught and cleaned up before the final release. But even if that did happen, we still would only be left with a shell of the game that we were supposed to get. By the time Scott retired, Security Breach was too far gone, and the team had no choice to commit to the direction they were headed in, for better or for worse. I'll always lament what Security Breach was, what it could have been, and what it ultimately ended up as. This game had so much potential that was squandered for a variety of different reasons, and no matter how you slice it, that is unfortunate. When I look at this game with a critical eye and really examine its flaws and how they came about, I can find myself feeling the way many people do about this game. I can find myself thinking that this is little more than a confusing, slapped together, disappointing mess of a game. But the thing is, even if that is objectively true, I love this game far too much for me to ever truly believe that. Because despite all of its flaws, all of the frustrations it causes me, every game-breaking bug, every loose story thread, and every grueling sequence that I had to suffer through, I still adore this game, and I do not see that changing anytime soon. It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, and it could have been so much more than what it is. But what it is a comforting, somehow extremely enjoyable romp through a wondrous location filled with characters that I love. I have fun with Security Breach every time I play it. And let's not get it twisted, this will be far from the last time that I play it, because try as I might, I just cannot bring myself to not love this game.
even though it makes me so fucking angry!